Welcome students for today's lecture, and we are in the first unit, that is basic circuits analysis, and our first topic is Ohm's law. So before moving to the topic, I just want to recap all. I just want to uh, go through the basic terminologies that we are going to follow throughout the uh, unit, or we can simply say throughout this subject, is electrical circuit analysis. That is simply we can say what is charge, what is current, what is voltage, and what are the units of these terminologies, and what are the basic elements that was used in network, and what are the different types of available sources, and then we will move to our that is main topic, Ohm's law. Okay, so first one, charge. Okay. If you take any particle or any matter, mainly it is made up of atoms. Okay, so if you want to represent the electrical property of an atom, then we will represent it in terms of charge. Okay, either it may be a positive charge or it may be a negative charge. So positive charge mainly represent the proton, or it is mainly due to the proton, and negative charge is mainly due to the electron. Okay, so if you take electrons, so in the subject we will mainly represent electrons as a flow of current through any external wire. So electron will participate mainly in the flow of current only in the external wire. So for example, if I am connecting a source to load through a wire, so the wire will represent the flow of electrons from load to source. So that's why current will flow from source to load. Okay. Similarly, if you take proton, so proton is mainly represented in the internal operation for battery or diode or transistor. So for example, if you take in battery, there will be a flow of ions, positive ions in the electrolyte, and if you take semiconductor devices like diodes and transistor, then mainly it's focused on both p layer and n layer. So in that time, proton will take part in the internal operation. So electrons mainly on external operation and proton mainly on internal operation. So the unit of charge, that is I already told, right? The unit is coulombs. So we will represent that as a C. And then the charge of one electron is minus 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb, and charge of proton with the same magnitude but positive sign. Okay. So from this we can get the value of number of electrons for 1 coulomb of charge. So in 1 coulomb of charge, we have a total number of 6.24 into 10 power 18 electrons or protons. So how we are getting this? Just getting this term to the denominator. So 1 divided by minus 1.602 into 10 power minus 19. Since we are talking about numbers, so we won't represent that in a negative. So we are just omitting the negative term. So we are representing this as a absolute value, that is 6.24 into 10 power 18. This is same for number of electrons and number of protons. So next one, current. So current we can simply define as a rate of flow of charges or rate of flow of electrons. Okay. Simply if you take a wire, so from the one end to another end, if there is a flow of electrons, from there we can measure the current by how much time it takes for reaching the point A to point B. Okay. So in terms of definition, so current is nothing but the measure of rate at which your charge. So they are simply telling us the charge. It didn't mean about whether it is electron or proton. So charge is moving past a given reference point in a specified direction. So whether it is through, for example, if you take a rotation, means whether it is clockwise or anti-clockwise. So based on that, the current sign will be changes. Okay. So in terms of mathematically, we can denote I is equal to dq by dt, where dq is the change of charges and dt is the change of time. So simply we can say it's a flow of charges by time. So current has both numerical value and direction. So you can represent the current direction in positive and in terms of negative also. Okay, so in an example we will see how we are representing the direction. So it is measured in, the current is measured in ampere. So unit here is ampere. So we will represent that in terms of A. So 1 ampere is equal to 1 coulomb per second. Okay. So if you take current, so we have two types of current. So first one is DC current. So DC current means the value will be constant throughout the time. Okay, it won't vary. It may be either positive or either negative, but the value will be constant like this. So this is called as direct current. And next one is alternating current, that is AC current. So here the current value will vary with respect to your time. So here simply you can see T is the x-axis. So if you say at point 0 the value is 0. So at let us take this as a 2. So here there is a maximum value, and again if you take this point as a 4, again it is getting the value 0. If you take this point as 6, then it is getting negative maximum. So throughout the time the value will get changes. So here we are representing this as a sinusoidal waveform. Okay, so this is a representation of current. So you can simply take figure 1 and figure 3. Okay, here the 3 ampere. So 3 ampere represents the value of current, and this arrow gives the direction. So the current is moving from this point to this point. Okay, so that's why it is represented in positive manner. Similarly for 5 ampere, so 5 ampere current is moving from this point to this point. So just it is indicating the arrow. So if you take the figure 2 and figure 4, the numerical value is same. So here it is 3 and here also it is 3, but the polarity is different. So here it is positive, but here it is negative. So because the same current, okay, so what we told is it is moving from this point to this point. So if you are representing it in opposite direction, that is from this point to this point, then it will be represented as a negative value. Okay, so for example 5 ampere is moving from here to here, so the arrow will be like this. Same 5 ampere can be represented as minus 5 ampere if it is flowing like this. Okay, so that's why in our previous slide I told current have both numerical value and direction. Okay, so figure 1 and 3 represent the flow of 3 ampere and 5 ampere current in one direction. The same current was represented in figure 2 and 4, in which it indicates the opposite direction, that is minus 3 and minus 5 ampere. So just an example on your own. Okay, so in the wire of figure 1, so this is the figure 1. So electrons are moving from left to right to create a current of 1 milliampere. So here the small m represents as milli. So milli is nothing but 10 power minus 3. Okay, so determine I1 and I2. So we have to find the value of current I1 and current I2. So our only hint is the electrons are moving from left to right, and they have given the current value is 1 milliampere. So let us solve this. Okay, so here I am taking this one as left. Okay, and this one as right. So now they are telling the electrons is E. Okay, sorry, so E. So this is the flow of your electrons. Okay, now we have to find the current value. So we know the numerical value. They have given the numerical value as 1 milliampere. Okay, but whether it is positive one or negative one, that we have to find. So we have a hint. So we know the direction of conventional current is opposite to the flow of electrons. So here the electrons is flowing from left to right. Then current will flow from right to left. Okay. So here if you see the arrow mark I2 and this arrow mark, both are same. Then we can represent this arrow as I2. Then I2 is equal to 1 milliampere. This arrow and I1 arrow both are in opposite direction, then I1 will be minus 1 ampere. So that is our answer. Since electrons are moving from left to right, our conventional current will flow from right to left. Here right to left means I2 is flowing from right to left, so I2 is equal to 1 ampere. I1 is flowing in opposite direction of I2, that is I1 is equal to minus 1 milliampere. Okay. Next topic, voltage. So voltage is nothing but the energy or the work done to move a charge from one point to another point. So here let us say voltage VAB. So voltage VAB is nothing but the work done to move a unit charge from point A to point B. So we can represent this mathematically as dW by dQ. So dW is nothing but the energy done, okay, and dQ is nothing but the charge in coulombs, that is the change of charge from one point to another point. So the unit in terms of electrical unit, we will represent the voltages in terms of V. We can simply represent the same in terms of joule per coulomb, but standardly for voltage we will use the unit as volt, that is in terms of V. So 1 volt is nothing but to move a 1 coulomb of charge from one point to another point with the energy of 1 joule, or simply you can tell the same as 1 Newton meter per coulomb, because joule can be represented in terms of Newton meter. Okay, take that as a force. So next one, the polarity. So similar to your current. So current in terms of direction we represent the polarity, right? So if it is in same direction of your electrons, it is negative. If it is opposite direction of your electron, it is positive. Similarly, here voltage we have polarity. So based on the positive and minus sign, we will define the direction. That is flow of current always be from the positive point. Okay, so here we will represent whether it is +5 or -5 based on the reference point. So we will see that in the example. For example, VAB. So VAB is nothing but moving the charge from point A to B, which can be again also represented as minus VBA. That is the same voltage which is nothing but moving the charge from point B to A. So both are equal, but it is in opposite directions. That's why we represented as a negative. Okay, or else simply we can see voltage drop from A to B is equal to voltage rise from B to A. So this is an example. So let us see figure A. Okay, here the A is positive and B is negative. Then VAB is equal to -5 volt, because they have given the voltages -5. So positive VAB. I have taken A as a reference point. So VAB is equal to -5 volt. So here the same thing, but here what they have given is A is negative. So if you are taking VAB, then we have to take that as a minus VAB. Minus VAB is equal to 5 volt. So VAB is equal to -5 volt. Okay, here if you take A as a reference point, so A is negative. That's why the answer will be also in negative. So similarly, if you take the figure C, so here A is positive. So simply we can say VAB is equal to the given voltage, that is 5 volt. And here, so A is negative. Then we can represent minus VAB is equal to, they have given the voltages -5. So minus VAB is equal to -5, minus will get cancelled. Then VAB is equal to 5 volt. So figure A and B, we have VAB as -5 volt. Either you can take any terminal point. So here I have given terminal B as a reference point. Even you can take A as a reference point. That's of your choice. So similarly for figure C and D, the voltage VAB is equal to 5 volt. So next one, so the same example, just try on your own. So here I have given the voltage V1 is equal to 15 volt, that is here. So V1, so I have given V1 this point. So this is 15 volt. So they are asking about the voltage V2. What is the value of V2? So simply you can say V1, the reference point is positive here. This point is positive, but for V2 it is negative. Then simply you can say V1 is equal to -V2 or V2 is equal to -V1. So both are opposite in direction. So answer will be V2 is equal to -15. The next one, power. So power is nothing but the rate of change of expending energy or absorbing energy. So whether you have to give energy or you have to take energy. It is absorbing or delivering. Okay, energy that is measured in terms of watts. Unit is nothing but watt. Okay, so mathematically, so P is equal to dW by dt. So dW is nothing but your energy and dt is nothing but a rate of change of your time. So the energy can be either absorbed or it can be delivered. So this can be expanded as the dw by dt can be expanded like this. So dw by dq, so with this nothing but voltage V, and dq by dt, that is nothing but your current. So simply you can see power is equal to the product of your voltage and your current. So this power is simply called as instantaneous power. Okay, so at that point what is your power based on the voltage and current at that point. So we will represent mostly power in terms of P or small p, but the unit will be watt. Mostly we will represent either in watt or kilowatt. Sometimes it may be megawatt. So based on the numerical value, you can just vary the uh, either it is simply watt or kilowatt or megawatt, or simply sometimes it may be milliwatt also. So here we have two things. Either power can be absorbed or power can be supplied. Okay. So how can you find the power is absorbed or power is supplied? So power is absorbed means we are getting power from someone. Okay, that's all. Power supplied means we are giving power to some element. So that is absorbed or supplied. So how can we measure whether the power is absorbed or supplied? That is mainly with the sign. Okay. So if your power has positive sign, then power is delivered. Okay. So delivered means you are giving the power to some other elements, or simply we can say some other element is absorbed power from our source. Okay. Positive sign means power is being delivered by the source. Similarly, if power is negative means your source is getting the power. Okay, the power is being supplied by the element. That is, for example, just I will draw a so let us have a voltage source here, or else just take this as a battery. Okay, so the battery is connected to a, I hope just you don't know, there's a load called resistive load. We know R is our load. So if the power is transferred from V to R, okay, so through this direction, so if the power is transferred from V to R, then this is called as power delivered or power supplied. Okay, either power delivered or power supplied by who? So power delivered or supplied by the voltage source V. Okay. If the power is transferred from your resistor to your voltage, from resistor to voltage like this. Okay, then power is absorbed by your voltage source. So we are getting the power from your resistance. So if this means power is absorbed, if this arrow means power is delivered. Okay, so based on the sign we can decide whether it is absorbed or delivered. Next one, energy. So energy is nothing but the capacity to do work. Simply we can say, or you can simply say the normal conservation of energy, that is energy can be either created or destroyed. It can be transferred from one form to another form. So energy is nothing but the product of power and time. So it is measured in terms of joules. So generally speaking, it is measured in terms of joule, but in terms of electrical. Okay, so in this chapter or in terms of electrical, we will represent energy in terms of watt hours. Okay, for example, if you take in your home, by monthly we will measure the number of units consumed. So we will measure in terms of kilowatt hour. Okay, so if your home consumes some 115 units, then you consume 150 kilowatt hour. So watt hour is the unit for energy in terms of electrical power. In generally speaking, it can be joule, it can be calories, like that, anything. So in terms of electrical, it will be watt per hour. So 1 watt hour is equal to 3600 joule. So energy is nothing but power into time. So power we already know, it is nothing but the product of voltage into current. So time, so T. So if you want to calculate the energy consumed by any load, for example, let us take a bulb or any tube light or anything. So if you have a voltage supply of 230 volt and the current consumed by the load is 5 ampere, then 230 into 5. So it is just operating for 1 hour. The total energy consumed by the bulb will be 230 into 10 into 1. So voltage is equal to 230, current is equal to, I told previously I told 5, sorry, to make the multiplication simply, I take the current values 10. So V equal to 30, I is equal to 10, T is equal to 1. 230 in 10, which will be equal to 2300 watt hour, which will be equal to 2.3 kilowatt hour. Then the number of units consumed by your bulb or lamp is 2.3 units. So let us take an example. So how much energy does a 100 watt bulb consume in 2 hours? Okay. So here the 100 watt, this is your power. Okay. And 2 hours, so this is your time. So already we saw, right, energy is nothing but product of your power and time. So 100 into 2 is 200 watt hour. So this is our answer. If you want to represent in terms of kilowatt hour, just divide by 1000. The answer will be 0.2 kilowatt hour. Okay. Next we can move to next one. Stove element draws a current of 15 ampere when connected to a 240 volt line. How long does it take to consume 57.6 kilowatt hour? Okay, so let us, they have given an induction stove. The induction stove has a current carrying capacity of 15 ampere current. So this is nothing but your current I. 15 ampere is I, and the supply voltage is 230. Then this is your V. So it is consuming energy. So they have given the value of energy E. Okay. So what we have to find is how long. So how long means they are asking for time T. So energy is equal to power into time. So power can be represented in terms of voltage into current. So energy is already given 57.6 watt hour. So just replace energy in terms of 57.6 kilowatt kilo and power in terms of voltage into current, that is 240 into 15. So time you have to find. So this will be the value. So instead of kilo, I can represent in terms of watt hour. So 57,600. So just to bring the 15 and 240 to here to denominator, just cancel and you will get the time is equal to 16 hours. So if you operate your induction stove for 16 hours, then it will consume this much of energy, that is 57.6 kilowatt hours. Okay. So these are the simple examples just to understand the basic logic or basic formula of what is power, energy and all. Okay. So next one, elements. So if you take any network, for example, if you take a torchlight, okay. So torchlight we have simply 3 elements. Okay. So one is your battery, next one is your lamp, and third one is your switch. So we'll connect the battery to switch, from the switch to again your lamp, from lamp to again your battery. So here we will tell that elements as your battery, that is a one element, switch is another element, and your source, that is a third element. So we have 3 elements, so which are connected by some wires or some contacts. Okay, so any network or any appliances, you can simply separate the parts in terms of elements. So in circuit theory we have basic 2 elements. So before that, so definition, so element is nothing but your basic building block of a circuit. Just to take the example of your torchlight. Okay, torchlight, or you can simply take any electrical appliances that you know. Okay, so any electric circuit is nothing but simply the interconnection of your elements. Okay, so we have 2 types of elements. So first one is passive elements and next one is active elements. So in terms of torchlight, so battery is supplying the power. Okay, so he is giving the power to lamp. So lamp is just getting the power from your battery. So passive elements is nothing but the elements which are absorbing the energy or which are all consuming the energy or power. Okay, that is called as passive elements. So the elements which are all generating the power or generating the energy, they are all called as active elements. So in case of torchlight, Battery is the active element and your lamp is your passive elements. So active element is capable of generating energy. So best example is your battery, or even you can take solar PV, solar panel or generator. So the or simply any voltage source or any current source. They are called active elements. So and elements which are not at all generating energy but they will consume energy, they are called passive elements. Best example is resistance, inductance, capacitance. So or LC. So these can be taken as loads. So these loads will either store energy. For example, if you take inductor or capacitor, they will store energy in terms of mechanical energy or static energy. If you take the resistor, it will just consume the energy in terms of heat. It will dissipate the energy in terms of heat. Okay. Simply take tube light bulb. So if you take the bulb as a resistive load, the energy will be wasted as a heat or consumed as a heat. Okay. So passive elements example resistor, capacitor and inductors, and active elements generator, battery or operational amplifier. So now we don't want to discuss about operational amplifier, just you know what is battery and what is generator. So they can supply energy. That's why they are called as active elements. The next one, independent sources. So independent sources are the best example for active elements. So in that we have two types of independent sources. The one is independent voltage source and another one is independent current source. So if you take an ideal independent source, they will either give a specified voltage or specified current independent of whatever may be the other elements. For example, we have a 230 volt supply to our home, right? For example, if you take a single phase supply, so 230 volt is our input supply. So whatever may be the load, so either you have a fridge or you have a normal TV or small LED bulb, whatever may be the loads, the supply voltage will be always constant. Okay, so that is called independent voltage source. So these are the independent voltage source. So here we have polarity as positive and negative. So this will representing DC voltage source. If you have a little symbol like sine wave symbol, that will represent a AC voltage source. Okay. So independent voltage source is nothing but the voltage supplied by the source will be always constant, whatever may be the load connected through this, or else simply you can say whatever may be the current. The current value is either 0 or either 100 or 1000. The voltage supplied by the source will be always constant. For example, if this voltage source is supplying 200 volt, if the current is 1 ampere and Vs is equal to 200, and the same source, if the current I is equal to 100, after that also if the Vs is equal to 200, then this voltage source is called independent voltage source. So the same thing for independent current source. So whatever may be the voltage across the load, the current supplied by the source will be constant. So if it is 5 ampere, then whatever may be this voltage across here, either it is 100 or 200 or even 10,000, the current supplied by the source will be constant. If that is the fact, then this source is called as independent current source. So the next one is resistance. So here, so resistance is the best example for a passive element because it is consuming energy. Okay, so resistance is nothing but the ability to resist current. So we are using some material to just slow down the flow of electrons. So that is called as resistance. They are just opposing. So in terms of symbol, we are representing that is in terms of R. So for example, the unit of resistance is nothing but ohm. So for voltage, volt; for current, it is ampere; for charge, it is coulomb. Similarly, for resistance, it is ohm. So let us take a material with a cross-sectional area of A and a length of L with a resistivity of rho. Okay. So then your resistance will be mainly depends on the area of your material and the length of the material. Okay. So how we are telling this? So your resistance is nothing but rho L by A. So rho is resistivity, L is your length of the material, and A is the area of cross section of the material. So if the area is increasing, then the resistance value will get decreased. Similarly, the area is decreasing, then the resistance value will get increased. If you take for length, the length increases, directly your resistance will get increased. So if the length decreases, directly your resistance will get decreased. So rho is nothing but resistivity of the material. So we can't change the resistivity of the material. So it is measured in terms of ohm meter. Okay. So rho is nothing but R into A divided by L. So R, the unit of R is ohm. For A it is meter square. For L it is meter. So it will get cancelled. And the unit of resistivity is ohm meter. So next one. For example, if you take good conductors like copper or aluminum, so they will have a low resistivity. Okay, and if you take a insulator, so they will have a high resistivity. So based on the resistivity value, you can simply tell whether the material is good conductor or insulator. Okay, because resistance is directly proportional to the resistivity. So if resistivity increases, automatically resistance increases. So which will just oppose the flow of current. Okay. So this is the circuit symbol for resistance, and it is represented as R. So I is nothing but your current that is flow through the resistance, and V is nothing but the voltage across your resistance. So at this point we are just complete the basics that I want to cover in this lecture, and then we can move to Ohm's law. So Ohm's law is nothing but a simple law. Okay, so I'm just telling at constant temperature. So this is the main point. At constant temperature, if you take any conducting material, okay, if you take any conducting material, the voltage across the conducting material, that will be always proportional. That is directly proportional to the current flowing through the material. Okay, or else you can simply take this one. Okay, if this is the conducting material, then the voltage across this material is directly proportional to the current through the material. So this is called Ohm's law. Here the main thing is the temperature should be maintained constant. If the temperature is not constant, then Ohm's law won't hold. Okay. So you can mathematically represent this as a V directly proportional to I, which is equal to V is equal to R into I. So here R is nothing but your constant proportionality, but we are telling that as a resistance. So we can simply say R is equal to V by I. So Ohm's law is mainly hold good for conductors at constant temperature and linear elements. So linear elements means the elements which have a relation between the voltage and current should be a straight line. That is an angle. If you draw a graph, then the graph will represent a straight line of 45 degree. Okay, so it should maintain like this. So this will be your current and this will be your voltage. So if you graph it like this, then you can say simply the element is a linear element. So Ohm's law is not valid for semiconductor, insulator, or non-ohmic conductor, tungsten element, thermistor, vacuum tubes, liquid electrolytes. So if you take semiconductors, vacuum tubes, these will have a non-linear graph. So if I draw the graph for voltage in current relation, then it will be like this. For example, for diode, this will be like this. So the relation is not linear. So if you take tungsten thermistor, here the temperature is not constant. So based on the temperature, the resistance value will get vary. Similarly for liquid electrolyte also. So Ohm's law is only hold good for conductors at constant temperature and linear. So now we can simply take resistance equal to V into I. So for short circuit, so short circuit is nothing but if you are just connecting a plain wire to 2 points. So this point and this point, if you simply connecting the wire, then you can simply say there will be a flow of current. Here for short circuit, the resistance is always equal to 0. If the resistance is 0, then automatically your voltage is equal to 0. Because V is equal to IR, if R is equal to 0, then V is equal to 0. Okay. Similarly, if your resistance is high, that is, if your resistance is approaching infinity, then the amount of opposing is much high. Then there won't be any current that is flow through this point. So hence it will be acted as open circuit. That is, the switch is off. Here the switch is on. Here the switch is off. Now we can say whenever the R is equal to infinity, then I is equal to 0. The same point. So V is equal to IR. Then here also your even though the current is 0, but there will be some leakage current, that is in terms of milliampere or microampere. So we have a maximum voltage here during the open circuit due to the infinite resistance. For example, infinity into 1 also give the values infinity. Okay. So power dissipated by a resistor. Okay. That can be represented either power normal as V in I, that we already know. So now we can represent V in terms of R. So V is equal to IR. So if we substitute here, it should be equal to I square R. Similarly, I in terms of R, that is like I is equal to V by R, that is equal to V square R. So these are the formulas which can be represented for the power dissipation in the resistor. So for 1 ohm, that is nothing but the voltage across the resistance is 1 ohm and the current to the resistor is 1 ampere. So an example, so an electric iron draws a current 2 ampere at 120 volt. Find its resistance. So I is equal to V is equal to 120. So as per Ohm's law, V is equal to IR, then R is equal to V by I. So 120 divided by 2, then the answer is 60 ohm. Okay. So next one, the essential component of a toaster in an electrical element that converts electrical energy to heat energy. So how much current is drawn by a toaster with resistance 10 ohm at 110 volt. So here they are giving just we have a bread toaster. A bread toaster will convert the electrical energy to heat energy. So this is a story, so that we don't need. So here they have given the resistance of the toaster, that is 10 ohm, R is equal to 10 and V is equal to 110 volt. So they need the current I. Okay. So V is equal to IR. So we know that we have to find the value of I. I is equal to V by R, that is 110 divided by 10. So which will be equal to 11 ampere. So that is the answer. So final example. So in the given circuit, calculate the current I and power P. Okay. So here we have in the circuit we know the value of voltage. So this is your voltage source. So we know the value of V. Okay. And here the resistance value is 5 kilo ohm. So kilo K is nothing but kilo. So that is 10 power P. So our aim was to find the value of I and the value of P. So I is nothing but V by R, that is 30 divided by 5 kilo ohm. Okay. So 30 divided by 5 kilo ohm, which is equal to 6 milliampere. So 30 into 5, 30 divided by 5, 6. So 10 power plus 3. If it goes to numerator, it is 10 power minus 3. That is can be represented as milliampere. So the current is 6 milliampere. Now the power can be calculated in terms of VI or V square by R or I square R. So anything. So in terms of V in time, so V is equal to 30, I is equal to 6 into 10 power minus 3. So the answer is 180 millivolt. So in terms of V square R, so voltage is 30 and your resistance is 5 kilo ohm. So 30 square into divided by 5k. So the answer will be same. Similarly, if you go for I square R, then also your answer will be same. That is 180 millivolt. So today we have covered the basic things for your electrical analysis. Okay. And then we just covered the Ohm's law. So what is Ohm's law? The relation between the voltage and current, and what is resistance, and what is the power dissipated to the resistance. So these are the points we have covered in our today's lecture. And the reference, so we have referred the two books. The first one is Fundamentals of Electrical Circuit by Matthew Sadiku and Alexander. And next one is Engineering Circuit Analysis by William H. Hyde and Kimberly. Okay, so just go through the video and go through the PPT again and complete the MCQ posted in our classroom. So if you have any doubts or query, just kindly let me know. Just contact me either through phone or just mail me. Okay, thank you guys.